Hey everybody, welcome to welcome to England winning a World Cup quarter-final for the first time in, as you see, 28 years. Welcome to the start of something good. I don't know. Without doubt, I think that was England's best performance this World Cup. This video I'm just going to talk about the England game. I'll do a separate one to talk about the other three quarterfinals. I haven't the Russia versus Croatia game isn't even on yet, so I can't talk about that. But yeah, I'm just really I don't want to say surprised, but I guess there's an element of surprise in there that England was so comfortable in that game. Not to say that Sweden didn't have their chances, they did, but just to say that we still followed a game plan that we had. We still look amazing on set pieces, and we look to be getting better. Some of the criticism I've kind of put at England, I don't even know if it's criticism, but just some of the things I kind of pointed out was the fact that we do seem to be relying on set pieces a lot, although we are good at them, so that's not necessarily a bad thing, and perhaps we weren't creating enough in open play. Well, against a Sweden side who we were told were going to be very good defensively, very stubborn, defend in 2 blocks of 4, we weren't going to find a way past them. Well, we did find a way past them a few times actually. And yeah, it was just a fantastic performance. Harry Maguire, who for me has been, England's probably player of the tournament, if it isn't Harry Kane, magnificent today again. The kind of, when he comes out of defence to head that ball, from a goal kick or a long ball, it's just, he seems to win it every single time. Very good. Defensively, very solid, good with the ball, able to pass it, scores a goal today on his 10th England cap. That's right, this guy has only played for England 9 times before today. That is impressive. And now he plays in a World Cup semi-final on Wednesday, I believe it is. Amazing. Yeah, just, I don't really know what to say. I mean, I was watching that game and I don't think... there were a few shaky moments. Sweden had a few chances in the second half, but I don't think I've ever felt that comfortable in an England game before. And part of that is down to the style of England's play, this possession that they have. We knew they were going to have more possession against Sweden. I'll be honest, I was slightly disappointed in Sweden. I thought they would be better than what they were. I don't know if that's down to England or just down to the fact that they may be flattered to deceive on some of their games, but they created a few chances, a couple of chances, but otherwise I thought they didn't look very good. They didn't really seem to trouble England that much, and we controlled the game. And I mean, this looked like just a kind of routine win really for England, and it's kind of bizarre to think about that in a quarterfinal of the World Cup. This is only the 3rd time we've won in the quarterfinal of a World Cup, I believe. Well, certainly since '66, I think. Yeah, it's fantastic. And in 1990, we needed extra time to get through. Wasn't that comfortable, so really, really great result. In Euro 96, when we beat Spain, we needed penalties to go on and play Germany in the semis, and yeah, just I don't know what to say really. As I said, everybody's now turning around and saying, "Oh well, it's just Sweden. England have had an easy run." Blah blah blah. Like, nobody here is. I don't think anybody with any sense is claiming that England have a world-class team here. If we look at the lineup here, nobody is saying we've got the best team in this tournament. Even now, when there's only 5 teams left in the tournament, nobody's saying we've got the best team. We don't even probably have the 3rd or 4th best team. But what we have is a plan. Gareth Southgate's put together a way of playing which is working, which the players seem to enjoy. He's got his ideas on where people play and how they're playing, and he has instilled an atmosphere in the squad which is positive, which encourages them to go out there and play football. And perhaps that isn't quite there at some of the other teams. Perhaps that could be our advantage. They seem to be very well drilled, especially on attacking set pieces. I've never seen an England squad this good at set pieces. I think at Euro 96 we're very good at set pieces, but it's something I like to see because it's something we focus on a lot, I think, in European football, more perhaps than any other continent. And they are deadly, they are a real source of goals, and we've shown that this World Cup, I think. And I thought today there were some fantastic performances, starting right from that number one position in Jordan Pickford. As I said, Sweden had their chances. We started off with a goal from Harry Maguire after 30 minutes, which I thought we were a little bit nervy the first 10-15 minutes. There were a few passes going astray. Understandable. These guys haven't played in a World Cup, at this level before. A lot of them haven't even played any game at this level before. So it's some big games, big challenge for them. And Sweden are a bit more experienced, shall we say. Perhaps they're not used to this level either, but I think they went in as the underdogs, self-proclaimed underdogs in a way, I think. So perhaps they felt like the pressure wasn't on them as much. But England, picked up after then, I think, and we saw a set piece, fantastic delivery in from Young. That's why he's there ahead of Rose, who, in my opinion, is a better left wing back than Young. But I thought Young had a pretty good game this time. His deliveries were good as well. And Harry Maguire, what can you say? I mean, it seems just to be a trademark. He just comes in and just thumps that ball in. He does it from the back all day long. He heads that ball like he hates it. He heads that ball like he doesn't want to be anywhere near it. Which couldn't really be further from the truth, because he looks good on the ball, and he's been fantastic. I was talking to a friend of mine and saying, is there a better defender at this tournament? Who's played better? He said Vincent Kompany. I said, yeah, that's possibly fair, but Vincent Kompany, I think, is close to 100 caps for Belgium, is 32 years old, exceptionally experienced, but he hasn't scored a goal. But yeah, I think Maguire has looked generally good. I don't know whether I'm saying that with rose-tinted glasses, but I think his defensive play has been very good. I think he's been great on the ball. I think in the air he's been just imperious. He just hasn't missed a thing in the air, and now from a set piece he's got a reward. Yeah, he's been fantastic. Stones and Walker, I thought Walker looked really good as well. There was a few unsung heroes, I think, in this England team today. Walker was one of them. I just thought he just played a real kind of game where he wasn't like he didn't really. He wasn't a focal point of anything, He didn't make a mistake. He covered a few times very well with his pace. He played his, some good balls. A couple of passes I think went a little bit astray, but otherwise I thought he had a very good game, and he's growing into that role brilliantly. It takes a lot of guts by Gareth Southgate to put a right wing back in that right side of that three. That is something you can get slaughtered for. If Walker, plays a dodgy ball or doesn't defend something very well, you saw in the first game he gave away a penalty. These are the sort of things which come back on you as a manager, because you're the one who puts him in there. It's not so much on Walker because he hasn't played in that position before, but I think the confidence from Southgate and just the conviction that he was right to do that, when you have central defenders like Jones and Cahill on the bench, is something to admire, definitely. Pickford was fantastic, second half especially. 3 very, very good saves, one header, I think it was Berg, who just kind of like, it was a decent move from Sweden, I'd say. Really decent move and a very good header, and brilliant save from Pickford. He's got some stick because, not stick to be fair, like the whole thing about Pickford is that he's a little bit shorter than a lot of other goalkeepers, and Courtois made a point. He's saying not in a digging way, but a point to say, I'm 10 centimetres taller than Pickford. The Januzaj shot I save. It's that I think that is a little bit antagonistic and not quite right, because you could argue there are other things to it which Pickford kind of does, which is agility, the speed that you're able to make that save, the knowledge of where that save's going and things like that. Who's to say Courtois would even have managed to get a save in on that? He probably would have. He's a very good goalkeeper, but it's not just a case of like all goalkeepers are equal, we'll just put the taller one in goal. It doesn't work like that, and Pickford showed today, I think, why he is staking a claim to be England's number one. 24 years old, keeps a clean sheet in the quarterfinal of a World Cup, makes 3 very good saves. You cannot ask for more than that, really. He's got the potential to play at another 2 or 3 World Cups, if he keeps up that level of form, which I'm sure he can do. Henderson, I think, another kind of unsung hero today. He was brilliant, passing well, breaking up moves well, just all over the place. He really was all over the place. Just played a brilliant game, I think. He's. There are a few players, I think, who have really cemented their importance in this team. There's still a few with question marks against them, I think, in a way. But him, I think, Maguire, Pickford have just absolutely staked their claim in this team. To be there for a while, basically. Lingard had an okay game, I think. Attacking wise, he kind of made some moves. He was the one who crossed it in for Dele Alli, which was a brilliant cross, and it was a very good header from Ali. I've been a bit critical of Ali, mostly because the guy is a fantastically talented player. He's still very young as well. I remember back in the day, I used to live in Milton Keynes, home of the MK Dons, and my 2 housemates were big MK Dons fans, and they used to have a season ticket. I used to go, and they would tell me about this guy Dele Alli, and they'd be like, "This guy is so good. Like, he's way too good for us." And they used to see him play, and then he obviously went to Tottenham, and everybody was saying like, "Why are Tottenham paying like, I don't know what it was maybe 6-7 million at the time to a League One club?" I think they were, for this teenager, and then almost immediately really putting him in the team, like it just kind of straight away kind of went in the team, and he hasn't really looked back from there. He's stepped up at every level, and I think so many of this team. One of the things which strikes me about this England team, if you look at it, is that in the past we've had teams where we have players from top clubs playing Champions League football week in, week out, winning things, in the league. And when you look at this squad, you have Pickford, who's an Everton goalkeeper. Sure, Walker, Stones, Sterling play for the champions. Yeah, they're top players. I wouldn't say Stones is nailed on to start every game with City. Walker and Sterling possibly are. You've got Maguire at Leicester. Henderson's had a rough start, I think, at Liverpool, but he's come through now, I think, as a very important player for them. When he joined them, there were a lot of people who just didn't rate him. As I said, Ali's come from lower league football. Lingard's had to kind of force his way into a Man United side, and I wouldn't say he's necessarily still a guaranteed starter. Young's kind of one of those weird players who, if he has been around for a long time, he's 32 now, but I don't know, it's weird with him. He's never been like a superstar, but he's always just been a solid player. I think Trippier's come in this season and done brilliantly with Spurs, and again, he hasn't got very many England caps at the minute. And Kane, when you look at the background of Kane, a guy who had to force his way through at Spurs, who went on loan at many different clubs, and those loans didn't really work out. It wasn't like he went on loan and was knocking in 20 goals a season at those clubs. He was hardly getting a game sometimes, but he's fought, and that's one of the things I think which perhaps these players are, one of the things which is guiding them to success is that there's not necessarily that superstar ego within the squad. A lot of them are players who have had to work their way up and work their way through. You know, even Sterling, he's come from a very tough background. You know, sure, he's playing at one of the top clubs in the world now, but you know, he's had to kind of force his way through. It's not been easy for a lot of these players. They've had tough times to come through, even though they're very young. So I think it's one of the reasons why they're kind of performing well at this World Cup. So Lingard, I think, had an okay game. Ali, he was probably the most wasteful in the early parts of the first half. Still isn't really hitting his stride. The header and the goal was brilliant. It was the classic Dele Alli, really was. And I think he grew in confidence from there. I think he looked a lot better. Hopefully he'll take that into the next match. I'm 100% sure that what we see as an England team now, we're going to see in that semi-final. I'm 100% sure of that. And I don't think necessarily that should change, actually, to be honest. Trippier's been one of England's best players in this tournament, without a doubt. He was magnificent today. The quality of his crossing was superb. You know, he was absolutely brilliant. He was finding a lot of space out on the right. And very, very dangerous. Sterling's the one, I think, who has faced a lot of criticism this World Cup because he hasn't scored. He hasn't played that well in a lot of games, I think, and a lot of people were calling for Rashford maybe to replace him. I thought Sterling had a really good game because, now, don't get me wrong, he missed technically one chance. The first chance he was offside, and I think he thought he was offside, and that probably played into it a little bit. Not saying that that's necessarily an excuse, but that's probably what happened. But definitely missed a good chance from a fantastic Henderson ball through over the top. He's in there one-on-one with the keeper. He goes to take it around. The keeper gets a slight hand to it, and then he kind of dilly-dallies on the ball a little bit, and it kind of goes out for a corner. Should have done better, but I thought his running was really good today. He was making some great runs, and he was fighting for the ball up front. He was up against, I think, Grankvist up there, who is, compared to Sterling, a man mountain. Sterling's not the biggest guy, but he was really, making his presence felt, even though he, he's not the tallest player on the pitch. And 100% think he should start in the next game because of that performance. I thought he looked really good. Kane, I don't know what you can say about Harry Kane. He's not on the score sheets. He's not the one who's going to make the headlines this match, but in some ways he was so good today. I haven't really been able to watch too much of Harry Kane. I think you see the highlights, you see the finishing, you see the goals, and you're like, okay, that's great. But what I've seen this World Cup is that other side to him, which is his ability to hold the ball up is just so good. He played some very good passes. There was one point where he kind of dropped a bit deeper and he was just spraying balls out left and right. He just doesn't really seem to miss a pass. He just plays really well, really solidly. Leads by example, I think. Hassles, gets stuck in. Very, very strong player. Very strong player. He had kind of one chance, I say, which was a snapshot from just outside the area and it went wide. But other than that, he didn't really have much of a sniff. But what was, I guess, reassuring was that, we are a bit of a one-man team. But today, Kane didn't really have a sniff, but two other players managed to score. And I don't think it was necessarily a case of Sweden keeping him quiet, because, as I said, I thought his build-up and hold-up play and his selfless play was just magnificent. It was a fantastic team performance. As I said, Sweden, I don't think were really at the races. They didn't seem to do much. They had, as I said, they had three chances. The first one was Berg, I think. I think Berg had the third one, which was another good save from Pickford, and then the second one was a fantastic save from Pickford, low down to his right. Henderson getting the block in on the rebound. It obviously would have been a different game, perhaps, if one of those goals had gone in, but we're at a quarter-final of a World Cup. If you think the other team are not going to have chances, it just doesn't happen. You know they're going to have chances. What you got to hope is that your goalkeeper's going to step up when they do get a chance. And it's a clean sheet at the end of the day, and that's brilliant going forward. That's exactly what we want. Exactly what we wanted to see. We hadn't kept a clean sheet this tournament. and it's going to first with confidence, I think, going into the next round. Now, Russia or Sweden will be a tough game for probably different reasons. Russia or Croatia. Russia, because obviously there's that home crowd. You know, if they manage to get through, perhaps they're not technically as good, but again, don't underestimate the support they will get. I would be very surprised if Croatia don't beat Russia this evening. I could be setting myself up here for failure, but I think it's going to be a Croatia-England semi-final. And Croatia have some players who can hurt England a lot. The midfield battle will be so important because they have a fantastic midfield. And it will be won and lost in midfield because I don't think Mandzukic is up to that much up front. And but I mean, you know, we know how England are going to play. There's a style they're going to play. They're not going to change it around. It seems like a very settled team. We've been lucky with injuries. You know, fingers crossed, no one gets injured before that game. You know, that we can put out our strongest team, or what Gareth Southgate believes is our strongest team. And yeah, I just think it's just been a really good performance. Like, there's nobody there who I felt didn't have a good game at all. You know, Dele Alli was probably the worst player, and he scored a goal. So I don't know what to say from there, really. I think it was just, and the thing is, that's all you can ask for, because it's very easy for you know, them to get to this quarter-final, having won that penalty shootout in such a dramatic way, and to kind of feel perhaps like, oh, well, you know, we did our best, we got this far, but that's all we can do. You know, that's all we're good enough to do, perhaps. But they seem to be believing that they're going to win this thing, and they're 2 games away from doing that. We've got at least 2 games left, because we play the semi, and even if we lose that, we go to the 3rd, 4th place playoff. I don't know what I'll do if England get to a final. I mean, even to be in a semi-final is a dreamland almost, but like, I don't know what will happen in this country if we actually got to a final, let alone win it. This is unprecedented, you know. It's fantastic to see. There's people I see everywhere going around going, England, you know, it's beating the easy teams to get to the final, whatever. It just doesn't matter. Like, you know, enjoy it. We don't know when we're going to see a semi-final at a World Cup again. We really don't. One thing I really liked was how clean this game was. There didn't really seem to be any play acting, no shouting at the referee, circling him, digging up the penalty spot. Fair play to Sweden on that, fair play to England on that. Got a little bit nitpicky at the end, as you would probably expect. But England have no suspensions going into the semi. They brought in that fantastic rule where, you know, they wipe the cards at the semi-final stage, so you can't miss the final unless you get sent off. So that's very fair, I think. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll have all our players available for that semi-final. Hopefully we'll give it our best shot. Even if we go at the semi-final, this has been a fantastic World Cup for England. Absolutely fantastic. I'd let you decide whether or not England getting to a World Cup final would be perhaps a bigger achievement than France or Belgium winning it with the teams they have. I don't know. But, you know, the final's got to be the goal now. We're capable of beating Croatia or Russia. We're capable of it. Croatia, are the tougher side on paper, but as we've seen, paper is flimsy and goes out the window very easily in this World Cup. So you never know. I'm hoping we get Russia, not because, as I said, on paper Croatia are better, but just because the atmosphere I think would be amazing. And if there was a team which I probably would love to go on and see get into the final, if it wasn't England, it would be Russia, because you know, as much as it's annoying when perhaps they release nerve agents in Shrewsbury, from a point of view of their people and their fans, they have put on a magnificent tournament, and they should be proud, and they deserve to be in the quarterfinal from that point. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about the game. you know, everyone's going to be saying it's coming home, it's coming home. Well, you know, I think it was David Baddiel said, you know, I'm not sure if it's coming home yet, but it's got its bags packed. So that's good enough for me. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon.